It's a beautiful bacon day, Cookie Crusaders. Today we're going to talk about the updates coming and why the level change is actually going to be a really good thing. So I've been running a lot of stats today, figuring out the base stats of cookies, figuring out the skill percentage upgrades as a cookie evolves. There's still more data to be figured out to find out truly who might benefit the best from this update, but I wanted to give you guys the top 10 cookies that are going to be under specific upgrade paths. So when I say top 10, some of them may actually be repeat cookies, but I'm going to explain how and why. So the first one is going to be a repeat cookie on both reasons. And so the first reason is that the highest damage buff, so the cookie that will deal the most damage at a base level before any toppings, higher than everybody else, like when they all upgrade to level 70, that is, it's going to be Vampire Cookie. So Vampire Cookie right now can deal 1,016.5%. That is going to be adjusting if, and I say a big if, the scale stays the exact same for how it levels to over 1,200%. Now, my math could be wrong, because I don't know if they're going to be changing it. I don't know if they're going to be adjusting the rules specifically. I don't know if they're going to be making updates along every single cookie that gets up to level 70. But what I'm comparing this to is the base level percentage and how it grows each level. And so it's not going to be like a full 1,200%. It'll be very close. To give you the number that I actually came up with, Vampire Cookie after is going to be around 1,103%. So I'm making that correction. 1,103%, give or take about 10 to 20%. Now, that extra percentage, it may not seem like a lot, but if you take the attack toppings that increase it, even without the attack toppings, a 40,000 attack with 1,100%, that's at least dealing around 400,000 base K. That's even before getting a critical strike or anything like that. And so this is going to upgrade Vamp a lot, and I think that it's going to push Vampire back into guild meta even further. I know that Vamp is a big staple in one of the guild teams right now. However, it could solidify even further after this update. There's still a lot to learn, still a lot to be seen, but I think that this is going to be one of the big changes. Next, this one is not a repeat cookie. It's going to be Affogato Cookie. So Affogato also has very high percentages. They're going to scale up too. And when that does, that means Affogato is going to deal even more poison damage. So this is, again, another cookie who's being used by a guild boss that could benefit very well for the guild team. And so that's interesting to see as well. Now, the third cookie that will be getting the attack buff, and this will also be someone who's going to get the largest percentage increase too. So this is why another repeat is going to be Eclair Cookie. So here you can see that single hit damage, 841%. So not only is that going to be a higher percentage at a great magnitude, but also the overall damage that Eclair is going to do because of that high base attack is going to be substantially even more strong too. So Eclair is probably going to be one of the biggest supports that gets the overall buff compared to some of the others. Now you might be thinking, well, why does Eclair need a buff? Well, I guess Eclair technically doesn't need a buff. It should technically balance out with all the other changes that will come, and I'll explain that in a minute. But it's going to be nice that Eclair will have even more striking power, so that you can use him in Alliance, you can use him in Dark Mode 14, you can use him in a whole bunch of situations that should be pretty helpful. And so I'm excited to see that change too. The next cookie that should be getting a big attack buff, at least by base percentages, is going to be T-Knight. So T-Knight should be within the top 5 that gets a good power increase of attack going to level 70. Now, of course, there is other ways to run T-Knight. You can run almonds, you can run attacks. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can run him. But I personally like to run him as almonds. I like him as tanky as possible, and if his attack's going to increase, that's honestly only going to make him more viable in the sense of how he tanks and how his damage pushes outward. And then the last attack cookie that's going to get the biggest attack buff is actually going to be Espresso Cookie. So Espresso is going to be able to deal even more damage with the glyphs and the interruptions too. So this might be a potential comeback for Espresso from this level 70 update. Something we'll definitely have to see. And then lastly, the other cookies that are going to be getting the biggest percent increases, but not necessarily the biggest attack increases, are going to be Red Velvet. So Red Velvet's going to go even higher than 1,391%. And the other one is going to be Onion Cookie. So instead of dealing 1,110%, it's going to be even higher for a 10 stack. So expect these cookies to have some significant potential in the coming metas because of all their potential stat boosts. Now, if I'm wrong and they assign a special value to each cookie from level 60 on, then that will wildly change the data, and it could rebalance many different cookies. And I'm not necessarily opposed to that, but as of predictions, this is the most likely thing that's going to happen because it would very much be a huge update without being told to have that happen. So for instance, when we have the news here and those sneak peeks, there should at least be some indication that a cookie or a bunch of cookies are going to get a special buff or nerf accordingly to percentages. And if they're getting to level 70 and they're not getting buffs / nerfs, then they're likely just going along the traditional path of percentages that they upgraded from level 1 to level 60. And so that's where I'm getting that information and how I'm calculating that out. Now, importantly too, for those who are not necessarily happy about the level 70 cap increase, here's why it's a good thing. It's actually built for free-to-play players. If you think about it, that new Hall of Ancients, you just got to get 5 cookies to level 70. 5 cookies. That's it. And honestly, you could probably do 3 Ancients and 2 really good epics, or 2 Ancients and a Legendary and 2 good epics. So that way you have a full level 70 defense team of some sorts. And then all you have to do is focus on the new resource shards that unlock additional spaces in that Hall of Ancients. And every cookie you put in there is going to share the level with the lowest level cookie you have. And if they're all level 70, that automatically puts any cookie you put in there at level 70. They do have to be a certain level to get that boost. And sadly, we're not sure if the skill will reflect that way too. If it doesn't, that's okay. It's still manageable. It still means that you can compete in PvP. It still means you can fight in Super Mayhem, that you can battle in Alliance mode. It helps in a lot of ways. So hopefully it adjusts skill too, so you don't have to worry about having massive amounts of skill powder. That would be very nice. But the Hall of Ancients is already considering that as far as how that works. It's kind of like when Alliance mode came out. They had the flame that you just lit it for a certain amount of coins, and then boom, all of your cookies and cookie skills are level 60. And I can show you that right here in the Alliance mode, in that description right here. All cookies under level 60 will enter Alliance battles with as level 60 with the following effects. And it doesn't, so attack up, defense up, HP up, skill level up. So everything's adjusted. They had already planned that. It didn't come out till later in the Alliance mode. That was not an original feature. The skill did not match. They did adjust that. So that means that, worst case, you go 1 or 2 seasons. If the skill is not matched, maybe they'll be like, okay, we need to let skills adjust. That's acceptable too. But having the level 70 cookies, just 5 main ones that you focus on, and all the rest just getting that boost buff, means you can experiment with so many. You can run rare cookies and common cookies that you would normally not invest EXP jellies into because you want to focus on your epic cookies, which is fine. It's understandable. It's a safe bet. But maybe you're like, I really, really want to run devil cookie. Like, my favorite cookie for whatever reason. Or I really love avocado cookie. But investing jellies to put them at level 70 is very tough. And so the main benefit you're going to get from having a bunch of level 70 cookies is the other update piece where you get special perks and boosts for having those high level cookies. That's going to be your main boost and buff. It's going to be similar, I believe, to like a bond. But the fact is, it is built in the sense of free to play in mind, and making it so that you are not just sitting there watching as your rank pummels below the master ranks because of all the whales hitting above the level 70 for multiple cookies. So I can understand the frustrations, but I wanted to explain that and make it a little bit more clear that you don't have to fear about the upcoming update. There's going to be a new cookie, which is going to shift the meta. There's going to be the new level 70s, which is going to change the meta. There's going to be a whole bunch of things, and so many people are going to be so lost in what to do and what to really make as a powerful team, and they'll just go with their assumptions first, and that's going to cause a lot of chaos, so the dust will take time to settle. Be rest assured, I am going to be doing overtime data calculations as best as I can to figure out what cookies should be standing on top, and this will of course change as time changes, but I will do my best to try and get you the information as best as possible. That was part of what this video was the cookies that I, at least data-wise, are looking like they're going to be the biggest buffs, the biggest ones to receive the best buffs from this level 70 increase. Obviously, it'll take time to figure out more, but as I figure it out, I will inform you, and I will let you guys know. Thank you so much for stopping by, and have a wonderful day.